everyone. I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. You might have listened to different concepts, very interesting concepts so far in the skill enhancement course. I dealt with a number of topics that are to do with more speaking and also reading, listening, and writing sometimes. And today, for a change, I thought I'll go and I'll touch one important topic that is part of speaking skills, that is presentation skills. So now let's get started. Now, what do you think about this presentation skills? Do you think it is so boring, or do you think it's very difficult task to handle, or else you think it's such a Herculean task that one could really, one could really couldn't really resolve that issue, right? So part of that. You have to face an important, kind of date where, you have to give a great presentation on that particular date and or day. So what do you do with that? What do you do when you cannot come up with such a great presentation on the day where everybody, sees and waits for you? So that is, it is something to do with that, right? So now, I have wonderful strategies or tips that really I could offer in this session, so that you can, come up with a great presentation session. In case if you're a software engineer. Now, the rationale for selecting this topic for today's session is like. Students, especially these engineering students who appear for this campus placement, they would like to, always learn this presentation skill. So part of that, they have to deal with this concept. So they're very good at subject. They're very good at, the work performance or the kind of, task that they really handle or take up. So in that situation, what do they do? So they have to, work out on certain, work, and 90% of them are not at all sure of a good presentation. They lack good presentation skills. They appear before the people, with good subject knowledge, but they don't have this necessary presentation skills. So what do you do, and how you are really going to deal with it? So now this session will help you be a person of good presentation skills. So now from your side or on your part, you will have to acknowledge the fact. You will have to understand. You will have to work out on that particular, area. So that is why you can always come up with a good, good idea about this session or about this topic. Now, before you can really prepare yourselves or yourself for a good presentation, or to listen to a topic on presentation skills, I have a few questions for you. Now you will have to sort out that before you understand this concept. Now, have you ever had to give a presentation on any of the projects that you have taken up? Or were you asked to speak on any important topic that your bosses or managers or your teachers asked to present on? Or or if at all you had to present, or if at all you had to do this presentation, it could be on any concept like project, or it could be on any topic or whatever it is, like that doesn't matter, the relativity of the subject that you are taking up. But have you ever presented Yes, you presented, right? No, you presented. You haven't presented. But all the ones who have presented, or at least once. Now, what were the problems you had to face during presentation skills? Do you feel? Do you think it is going to be a great performance the second time ever if you have to present? Oh, number two, are you going to be a person with great, skill where you are going to display your subject knowledge? So, what is it? How are you going to do that? So, now you have to ask some questions to yourself. Only then you will be able to deal with the problems that you already had in the previous session. And once you resolve this, then definitely you can come up with a great presentation in future, right? Number one. So it is now who are the people, part of your target audience, who are there, and are they are they part of the organization that you're working in, or do they belong to the kind of the place you are really working in? Or else, like, you say no to the previous two questions, but then, like, you say yes, we had to work with the same people, right? That's fine. But now my question is, what if you have to do with the outsiders as a different group, and you do not know them and they do not know you? So what do you do? Now, part of that, then you have to work on that. You have to work rigorously on that. So now you don't have to worry about the audience, my dear listeners. You don't worry about the audience, because worry about the care you need to take up. It's your responsibility to build up on the required or the requisites that you need to possess for handling up these sessions. So that is to do with that. So that's all about that. Next, number two. Now, you have to think about the preparation that you have for your presentation. Now, you have for your classes. Number three, you cannot take any chance when you are presenting your topic, taking that they are not listening to you. It is your responsibility. It is your task to grab their attention, my dear listeners, who are all listening to my session. It's your cup of tea. It's your responsibility to capture and grab their attention so that you can work and turn their minds to the concept that you're really driving. Okay, so that is something that you have to take interest in. Now, number three, you have to make sure that you are properly aware of the concept that you are really talking about, right? So that's another important issue, right? Now, what are these presentation skills? Now, keep aside all the tools all the questions that I've raised so far. Now, number one, if I have to deal. And now I have to ask you a question. What do you know about a presentation skill? Or how do you define a presentation skill? How do you do that? Number one, presentation skills, or all about the qualities you need to create and deliver a clear and effective presentation. That means the qualities you need to have, the attributes or the characteristics you need to have in order to create and deliver a clear and effective presentation, right? You have to deliver a wonderful presentation. For that, you need to have this precision, clarity, and so on and so forth. So you having all these things, definitely you can be a person who can implement wonderful strategies in order to be a successful person, to bring out a wonderful and great, amazing presentation. So now, what do you say during a presentation is very important. So employers value the ability. So how you're going to do is, again, your cup of tea, right? Now, during a presentation, you're not going to just time pass. You're just not letting the time pass just because you have to engage some half an hour time. So if you're trying to engage some half an hour time, then it is up to you. It's up to you. You have to present over there, right? So employees value the ability to do that, and when you are presenting, they are looking forward to your lecture. They're looking forward to your information that you are really looking for, right? So now you have to engage, and that's a very important task. Right, next, now you have to understand the importance of this presentation skills. Now, what is this importance? It helps an individual, or it helps a person in enhancing his or her own growth, because how does that really enhance a person's growth? Because that gives him an immense confidence about his personality, that gives him an immense pleasure when he delivers his knowledge, or when he transmits his knowledge that he has in his hands. So that is one thing. Next, opportunities increase, or and many opportunities increase confidence, right? Opportunity increases confidence. That is one thing. Next, the second thing is good presentation skills enable to mold his message according to the minds of audience. So while you deliver, it gets very nice, shaped by the viewers who are listening to, right? So and so you have to make them able listeners, right? So they can really come out, you can tune their minds, you can shape their minds, right? Number 3, it increases individuals chances of success and greatly to the organization. It increases chances of success and greatly to the organization. Why? When you give good presentations, obviously, you are, giving orientation, a wonderful orientation to the people around. And when you give, people get, attracted, and people, they like to listen to you, and they like to get convinced when you, take your thoughts or ideas before them. So that's very important. So obviously you can sit and relax, grabbing their attention. So, and ultimately this will increase your success, the graph of success. Obviously you get more opportunities where you can really display your talents and gifts that you are really bestowed with. So you have to use your ability to a great extent. Now let us think about how you can really improve these presentation skills, how you're really improving, and what are some things that you have to work out, right? Number 1, research the audience before presenting. Before presenting your concept, research the audience. Think about them, and sit and design new ways of presenting your topics, right? So, and how you're going to present them. And my dear listeners, you have to think about the people who are listening to. Are they very good at intelligent level, or are they very average in their thinking, or are they educated masses, or are they half informed or fully informed, completely learned people, right? All these can be used and utilized. All these can be taken into account. All these can be seriously considered, right? So that is more to do with that. Next, number 2, structure your presentation effectively. Structure your presentation effectively. How you're going to structure your presentation, and before you research, after you research the audience, you will get some statistics like 50% of them are learned people, or 40% of them they belong to that particular category. They come from different it's kind of like they come from a different background where great knowledge is more displayed there, where their knowledge is more enhanced. Okay, so that is one thing. And also you can understand the fact that these people are not at all interested in specific areas that you are really taking up. Or if you are the person who is going to speak about, for example, let's say that you are talking about the innovations that are happening in this global world. And so what happens, the innovations that are happening in the present day world are very important, right? And everybody's interested. But you have taken a different, turn, and where you ask your people to, listen to the topic that they are not interested in. So now again, you will lose, your importance, and you will lose the significance of that. So automatically you will be a poor presenter, because the people are not willing to listen to you 100%. So you have to research, do some research on the minds of the audience, your target audience. Okay. Or also you can say that, like, what kind of language that they come from, like whether they're comfortable, and what kind of level of vocabulary you can use, and to what extent you can really sit and think about it. And what kind of, like, for example, if all of them come from the same level of language, then how are you going to perform and display, right? So it is the same everywhere and anywhere. So you have to consider all these factors in case you are not at all happy with that, right? So that is one thing. Next, structure number 2 is structure your presentation. You have to neatly organize. You have to come up with a wonderful structure where you can really design your problems, and you can put out in a neatly arranged way, where you can give them introduction, where you can give them some beautiful and very informative, knowledgeable information about the concept that you have taken up. Okay. And thirdly, you can also talk about the suggestions or that you want to give, or the instructions you want to give, or some conclusions you want to give, and some problems you can really raise during the presentation. So all that will help them learn a lot. All those topics are easily manageable in case if they, in case if in case you already plan this very methodically. And on a part of that, strategy, you can also take down their queries, right? You can note them down and give your solutions to that. Always invite questions to the topic after your presentation. If they have some questions to raise, if they have so many thoughts to share, let them talk only after your presentation, because that might disturb your concentration levels. So ask them to note down the queries that they have. So then that will not disturb their thinking, or that will not make them forget the point that they want to tell. Definitely they can really note, they can note all those questions, note all those queries already in the paper and on the paper, and they can sit and sort it out. And in that way, there is no chance of missing the questions they want to ask. And also ask them to underline the points that they have want to highlight, they can share. Also, you can ask them to reflect and ponder over the concept that you deliver. That is also very significant. And some more things, as a matter of structuring your presentation is like something when you are not able to convince the person who is willing to come up, for example, to voice his or her feedback. And what you can really do is you can always work out from the beginning, much before ahead of the time. Then you will have a very the time a time where you can sit and practice for the entire session. And also you have to take care of the vocabulary you use. You have to make sure it's like like when you are not willing to present the topic that they are not interested, then it is always a good option to choose the concept that they, in case if the choice, the topic of your own choice, in case if they are not willing to give you any chance, or else it can be your option. Or else if you are asked to speak on that particular topic, then choose the topic, but add nice flavors to that, and then add a very great add performance to the task that you are in, that you are going to give. And also make sure you give them give them necessary handouts, or kind of like supportive documents to also to support the content that you are sharing. So that is one important thing that I want to convey, right? Next, and then doing a lot of practice is very important. If you don't do a lot of practice, or if you don't practice the content, then obviously you are not going to show you are not going to show any fear, because you've already faced the crowd, and before the mirror when you are standing, right? So, and if you are not at all interested, then you can do a lot of practice, then that will help you take interest, and you have nervousness and fear, and this will be able to you will be able to tackle these problems once you do a lot of practice. So it's very important. Next, now preparation of presentation skills. So how do you have to prepare? Number one, organize your presentation. That is like you have how you open the conversation or presentation, what's the body closing, okay, and then do practice about all that. Practice of all these things. You open that and then close that, and also give enough practice for that, right? Next, number two, rehearsing does not mean memorization. So when you do repeatedly, it doesn't mean that you really mug up. It doesn't mean that you are just giving some kind of some type of fixed answers. It doesn't mean that you memorize the points over there, but it means that how you can really explore, how you can really share, how you can really do a repeated workout. That's all. Okay. Number three, videotape yourself. When you do this, when you take this, when you record your presentation, then you will know your flaws, where you are really not good at, and how you can really improve your presentation, your voice modulation, your intonation, your pronunciation, your grammar, and your body language. Everything, your content can be easily corrected in case you videotape them, right? And for the next time per presentation. Next, calm your nerves. This is very important. Even if you prepare well, even if you give them great participation, or you give them a great push up regarding the performance, but then even if you motivate some people, but ultimately if they have this kind of nervousness, or if they have this kind of tension, then they are not going to perform well. It's because they are full of fear and nervousness. So what do? You have to calm your nerves, relax, think, and and then understand peacefully about all these things, right? Next, the fifth one is stop working on it. Stop working on it, and stop working on your tensions. So, and build up relaxed mindset. Next, delivery of your presentation. The delivery of your presentation is what? How you deliver, and how you need to manage that. Next, number one, verbal delivery. Verbal delivery is like how you verbalize, okay, how you say it orally and all that. So that is one thing. Number two, ask questions to keep the audience engaged. Ask questions to, so you have to involve the participants, right? So they won't be calm there, so definitely they can take part of them. So verbal delivery is very important. How you deliver, how you use oral communication, your intonation, your modulation, all that. And then second thing is ask questions to keep the audience engaged. You have to involve the audience, otherwise they think that you are not taking their grabbing their attention. So that is it. Okay, all then work. I have to work on tone also, how you are, their demographic features also should be taken care of. And also avoid speaking softly, or else like that will make you make people think you're not very confident. Okay, you're not very confident, and that makes you feel less confident. So you have to see that, you have to understand all that, right? So that is one thing. Next, the most very significant thing I want to draw your attention to is like, avoid fear and nervousness. This will hamper your presentation. So have to present boldly. Give a bold presentation, right? That's one thing. Next, how should be your body language? How should be your body language? Stand at a comfortable distance. Like you don't go very near to them, or you don't go far away from them. Just maintain like 2.5 to 7 feet of your feet of distance from your audience. That is more important. Next, eye contact is also very important. Going to the proximity is very important. You have to maintain an appropriate proximity. So that is one thing. Next thing is eye contact. This eye contact should be there. Eye contact should be properly maintained. That is one thing. Because if you don't make this eye contact, like what do? You have to see that you look at each one of them in your presentation. Otherwise, others would feel ignored. So maintaining eye contact is very important, so that you're reaching them with your ideas. That's very important. Next, appear confident, like, and your shoulders back and arms at your sides. Your posture should be proper, and the way you show your body language and your gestures, hand gestures, movements, everything is very important. So you have to do all that. Next, so what are some, let's discuss some common problems and solutions. So what are some common problems that you find during presentation? So lack of confidence, yes, that's always there. Boring speeches, obviously sometimes you feel. And plagiarism of material, so you always copy paste the information, or else like speaking too fast where the audience will not be able to find out. So you see, you have to make sure you're a person of full confidence. Okay, you are a person with good interesting speeches. And also make sure plagiarism is not there, is absent, and make sure you don't speak too fast. That's there, right? Next, giving and encouraging feedback. Giving and encouraging feedback is very important. So make sure you take the feedback from your peers, from the teacher that you are nearby, or like videotaping and playback. That will also help you in a very nice way. Okay, so make sure you do that. And when you take this feedback, what happens is like you can correct your problems. You can sit and you can go back and you try to change all these things. Whereas they cannot point out at your address, in case if you take the feedback from your friends or from your peers and correct them for your next presentation, then that will certainly help you, because you may not see the mistakes that you have all the time, right? Always you have to make sure that you have a wonderful presentation all the time, right? So that's also very important. So gain a full understanding of how to prepare, organize, and deliver effective presentation. So this is very important. Gaining a fuller understanding, or you have to have a proper understanding of how you can really organize and prepare. Learn how to communicate their key points clearly to them. So the way of communication is more important. What is a method you take? What is what is a style you choose to adopt? So very important. Next, develop your skills to communicate clearly, effectively, and confidently with a range of audiences in a different, range of context. So this is very important. The range of audience you have and kind of, different contexts and how you are delivering that. So you have to be mindful of that. Next, improve your research and design skills. Improve your research and design skills and strengthen your delivery techniques. So always work out on your delivery techniques and make sure your design skills are good. Next, enhance your use of different supportive electronic and visual tools. Make sure you have all this backup and support. Definitely you can, do well. Next, reinforce your performance skills. So both should be worked out. Body language at the same, verbal and non-verbal. Next, increase your confidence levels in interacting with audience and control your. So talk to them. Then you will not have any inhibitions. Then you may not have any problem when you talk to them. Then there may not be any fear. That's very important, right? Next, promote critical and reflective thinking by dealing with feedback on your presentations. Promote critical and reflective thinking always by dealing with feedback on your presentation skills. So critical thinking and reflective thinking both are very important. Work on that. Now let's see what are some types of presentations that you might identify, right? Number one is information giving. So this kind of presentation is more to do with the information that you really give. So, and you can summarize or you can give a description of that. And maybe part of that you may be asked to do this as part of a mini teaching session. And you can share theoretical and factual information, part of giving information. So that's important. Next, and this is another type of discursive. Here what you do is, you will need to debate the strengths and limitations of approach. You need to debate what is that, whether you have to explore different perspectives. You have to talk about the challenges. You have to talk about certain limitations also. Okay, so that is more important. And then make sure you approach properly. Next, make sure it is demonstrative. Okay, so demonstration is very important, type of in the context how you can with different examples you can bring up, right? Demonstrating your ability to illustrate your understanding. So this will be an effective tool in terms of your presentations. Now, presentations are key activities. So how you can do individual presentations or you can do group presentations, seminar presentations, could be anything. Okay, and then you can do some research before that, and you can do all that finally in order to improve the your presentation quality, right? Dissertation related presentations and vivas to demonstrate your ability to manage a research project. So you can see that demonstrating the use of a piece of equipment or software, you may take the help of these PPTs and dissertations and also job interviews. You can take and to demonstrate on this. During this also, dissertation related presentations can be very effective, where you can show your knowledge. You can do such type of things. Okay, and then a job interview where you have been asked to present for, so that is another chance for you to display your knowledge, and that's also kind of good presentation. And visual aids, material for distribution. Make sure you have you use proper visual aids. Okay, if you use more pictures and diagrams than text, then you will possibly help the audience. So use more tools that will enhance your presentation. And this is, and then after what you do is you make sure you come up with bullet points, and you don't make clumsy and you very unorganized kind of thing. So you can put up all those diagrams, charts in order to improve the quality of a presentation. Next, you should be aware that visual aids are complementary. You should be aware that visual aids are complementary to the presentation, and you should not focus on only that. But they are complementary; they are not alone to be used. But your presentation in other things are very important. So having understood all these strategies and tools that are required for presentation skills, I now trust that you will definitely be a person of good presentation skills following all these suggestions, right? So the problem here is you should be aware that these visual aids are not only the tools that you can really use. You can also use these tools as complementary tools. So they will help you for your effective presentation, but they alone will not help you, in case you don't have proper content and matter to do. So you have very sure of doing, relating all these things, and also, and if you don't have a proper PPT, that will again throw a bad light on your performance, so that will not help you in any. So you have to make sure you have a wonderful PPT, and that PPT should have proper font, and maintenance of the same font is very important. You have to maintain kind of like this very dark colors as your font. Don't use light color font, because they may not appear if the background is again light. So again, that will be another problem. So based on that also, you have to give your presentation skills. So that is more important. And another thing I want to tell you is you cannot narrow down the topic. Don't fill the slides with, completely with so much of information. Don't fill the slides with complete information. Reduce the slide. Reduce the slide. And with light, with equal distribution of information. And or else, like, what happens is, like, in one slide you don't have any points, but whereas in the latter slide you dump so much of information, again that will really upset. And also I want to say that your intonation is very important. The tone you use, the modulation you use. Don't speak too fast, don't speak too slow, don't speak too soft. So what happens is that will add some kind of bad impression on your presentation. So make sure you give a great presentation before you prepare, right? Before you prepare, you have to take all these into consideration before you present. So that is one thing. Also, your dress is very important. Dress up informal. Informal code or informal mode. Make sure you don't wear too much of gaudy and so much of like kind of like bright colors. Make sure you wear light colors when you are presenting, and very decent and dignified attire will always that will draw their attention, or that will attract their minds. And also, if you have a wonderful presentation with good knowledge and good content and good presentation skills and good PPT mode, definitely you can, and you can present a very great kind of concept that you are really working in. So that is also very important. And also, shed away your inhibitions. Make sure you are not part of this kind of commotion. Make sure you don't entertain any other thoughts, like you have so many shy, embarrassment and all that. Make sure you don't have all these things, right? So that's very important. So before you go before the audience, make sure you have this kind of good feeling that you are able to present a confident presentation then you can understand, then you can come up with a great presentation, right? So follow all these strategies and definitely you can achieve your success. Thank you.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.